Warning: the advice presented here may or may not be good. Any advice you take is on you. How to fake expensive decor. A well-designed room looks expensive, even if it isn't. Before you invest in decor, try to come up with a theme or idea for the room. Once you have identified what you want your room to look like, search for economical pieces that can pass as works of art. If you're not having much luck finding pieces in stores, you can even make your own. Though you probably shouldn't, because that's dishonest at best, and forgery at worst. Don't try to pass off garbage as works of art, because then shows like Antiques Roadshow have to tell your family members that you bought crap and told them that it was art. Step 1. Choose a unifying theme. A well-coordinated room will look expensive, even if the decor is cheap. Choose a theme that will tie together your room. This will help you look for inexpensive pieces, while making it seem as though you paid an interior decorator. Rooms that seem confused or cluttered and mismatched have the look of poverty rather than luxury, even if the pieces are lovely. For example, a beach-themed room would have pictures of the ocean, shell decorations, and a blue-green palette. A rustic, woodsy theme would have wood detailing, paintings of landscapes, and an earthly palette. Industrial themes use repurposed items, steel accents, and sharp edges to give the room a more modern edge. Gray, brick red, and black are popular colors. Minimalism is a popular and trendy design scheme where you use as few pieces as possible to decorate your room. Simple furniture in white or neutral colors will make the room look as though it featured in a magazine, but the style is inexpensive to recreate. Essentially, when decorating a room, make it look as much like a cheap hotel room as possible. Remember, filling a room with interesting things makes you look poor, so try as hard as you can to suck all the life and personality out of every room you can. Step 2. Focus on a neutral color palette. Stick with white or light neutral shades, such as brown or gray, for the base color. Your walls and larger furniture pieces should belong to this color scheme. For example, you might have beige walls with white doors and gray furniture. Your decor will stand out against neutral colors more, which will make them seem more prominent. Some neutral colors you can mix and match include gray, slate blue, taupe, soft yellow, off-white shades like ivory and cream, coffee brown, tan, and beige. Remember, if you wouldn't choose it for the interior of a car that you were selling to an octogenarian, don't put it on your walls. Step 3. Add accent pieces. Accent pieces are small decorative items that contrast with your neutral color scheme. They are usually either brightly colored or patterned. Accent pieces can be easily and cheaply be replaced if you ever change your style. Make sure all of your accent pieces are the same color for maximum effect. Some items that you might consider for accents include vases, pillows, blanket, frames, ottoman, tablecloth, flowers, striped, dotted, or chevron pattern objects. Make sure that you spend more on these things than on the furniture itself, because no one needs expensive furniture when you can attempt to hide how cheap you are by burying it in ugly crap. Step 4. Choose a focal point. A focal point is a piece of furniture, art, or object that is the primary decoration in the room. Having one grand piece will draw attention to it, making it seem important and pricey. A room in which there's no clear focus tends to feel cheap. Some good focal points for a room include a large painting, a unique table, 2 retro mod chairs, a wall decal, full-length bookshelves, an ornate mirror, and other useless knickknacks that you can hang up all over the place. Part 2. Get rid of dated details. The key to making your decor seem expensive is to follow modern trends. To help your room remain stylish and cool, you should reduce the dated elements of its decor. Some common out-of-style elements include vertical window blinds, formica tables, clear plastic furniture, furniture painted to resemble marble or stone, broken decor such as torn posters, cracked vases, or splintered wood. In general, unless it's part of the look, such as a vintage poster, cracked glazed vase, or reclaimed barn wood coffee tables, you shouldn't have stuff be broken everywhere. Otherwise you'll look like a hoarder. Part 3. Avoid clutter. Ironically, having less decor in a room makes the overall impression that of luxury, not a room that is filled with furniture and decorative items. Limit how many decorative pieces you put out. This creates the impression that you spent more on a few expensive items instead of buying many cheaper ones. When placing your decorative items around the room, keep a little bit of space between each item. Remember, if it doesn't look good in a hotel room, it's not going to look good to anyone. Make sure the only things that are in your home are things that look good to other people, not you. Part 3, Side 1. Decorative shelves should ideally not be crammed with items. It's tempting to fill that space with stuff. Instead, only fill 1/2 or 3/4 of the space, leaving some empty space. Keep your surfaces such as coffee tables, counters, and TV stands mostly clear. Choose only 1 or 2 items to place on these surfaces. For example, you might keep a lamp on a side table with a single picture frame, but nothing else. If in doubt, remove. Try taking out a piece of furniture. See what happens if the coffee table is simply moved to the family room, or see what happens if you remove throw pillows. You may find that less is more. Remember, nothing makes a room look more expensive than when it's empty. The best way to avoid looking poor is to avoid looking like you own anything at all. Method 2. Finding cheaper alternatives. Step 1. Visit thrift stores. Thrift stores, charity shops, consignments, estate sales, and antique stores will often have old vintage items that are much cheaper than new. This is a great way to get inexpensive but quality items, such as wooden tables or embroidered chairs. Old wooded furniture can always be repainted. If you find a piece that is chipped or faded, you can paint it to match your color palette. You may find interesting and unusual decor in these stores. These will seem expensive because they are unique. For example, you might find a lunchbox from the 60s with old superheroes on it. Or you might discover an antique milk pail that you can use for flowers. Remember, if you find old stuff, just ruin it with paint or dead plants, because nothing's as expensive like destroying things that you can't find anymore. Step 2. Shop online. Websites like eBay, Craigslist, and Gumtree allow people to sell their old furniture and decor. Search through these sites to see if you can snag a deal. It may take a little while to find the perfect deal, but you may be able to score a truly expensive piece for little money. Just make sure that you look at the items with a black light before giving them any money. Remember, better safe than sorry. Step 3. Search online for less expensive replicas. If there is a more expensive piece that you have your eye on, you might be able to find a cheaper replica online. Search words that are associated with the original piece. For example, you might type cheap crystal chandelier to see what pops up. Remember, if you're trying to seem expensive, make sure to always buy forgeries that you can pass off to friends and family members as the real deal. Who needs to buy a real painting when you can buy a fake one and make everyone think it's real? Step 4. Print out your own art. If you can't afford originals of art, you can just buy prints from the internet. If the artwork is in the public domain, you can even print out your own copy at a print shop and frame it yourself. This is a great way to get quality reproduction of famous art pieces in your own home without paying a fortune. When sending the work to the print shop, make sure you send an HD copy so you get the best image possible. You can also tear out images from an old calendar and frame them. This is a great way to reuse an old calendar, and the images are all professional quality. Remember, framing things is extremely cheap and not some horribly expensive and complicated process that can cost more than the artwork itself. Just print out things that seem expensive on cheap printer paper, and then spend hundreds on the frame. No one will believe that you bought a good frame for a cheap piece of crap. It's a win-win. Step 5. Repurpose items. You might find interesting pieces of decor that can be used for different purposes than they were intended. These pieces can be a focal point for your room, if you choose. Transform your old furniture, or keep an eye out for things that become tables, wall hangings, or accent pieces. You might use an old luggage trunk as a coffee table. Hang antique dinner plates on the wall. Drape an old quilt over a chair. Frame vintage fashion magazines. Make shelves out of old wooden planks. Position a TV on a painted crate. Remember, nothing's as expensive like using things you don't have a place for in place of actual furniture. Method 3. Making your own decor. Part 1. Assemble your own built-in bookcases. Floor-to-ceiling length bookshelves may seem expensive, but you can replicate the effect without purchasing high-end custom furniture. Measure your wall. Instead of building one giant bookcase, purchase 4 smaller, identical bookcases that will fit in that space. Place 2 side by side for the base, and stack the other 2 on top. Be sure to bolt all 4 bookcases to the wall for stability. You may also want to make sure that the bookcases can support the weight of another bookcase plus books, so as not to cause them to collapse and possibly tear holes in your wall when the bolts give way. Step 2. Wallpaper the inside of your bookcase. An easy way to add a customized twist to an old bookcase is to wallpaper the back of the shelves. Find a wallpaper that matches your theme or color scheme. Cut the wallpaper to size of the backing of each shelf. Paste it on using wallpaper paste, and let it dry before you put items back on the shelves. If you are using the bookcase to display decorative objects, like vases or figurines, you might want to choose a solid color for the wallpaper so that more attention is drawn to your collection. If you are just using the shelves for books, you can choose a bold pattern, such as chevron stripes, polka dots, or a floral design. This will make the shelves an accent piece in their own right. It will also make them look horribly ugly and extremely dated, and you may also have ruined the bookcase, ensuring that it can never be repurposed or used again for anything else. Part 3. Paint your own tile backsplash. Ceramic tiles are great for decorating the backsplash of kitchens or bathrooms, but decorated tiles are expensive. Plain white ceramic tiles, on the other hand, can be cheap. With a little time and effort, you can turn tiles into something stunning and extravagant. Find a stencil of a design you like, such as a fleur-de-lis or a bird. Press the stencil down onto the tile and paint over the design. Let the tile dry, and you have an easy, beautiful tile. You can then adhere it to the wall using tile mastic. Good places for a painted tile backsplashes include underneath cabinets or above a countertop. Do not paint the tiles on your floor or along your shower or bath. Too much water damage can ruin the paint, just like using backsplashes without knowing what you're doing can ruin your walls. Step 4. Use fake flowers instead of real ones. Fresh flowers are beautiful, but they can become costly. Instead, look for convincing fake flowers. Put together your own centerpiece and arrange them in an inexpensive vase. You have easy, reusable centerpieces. Go for flowers that look as close to real as possible. You might even be able to find ones that also feel soft and natural. Your guests probably will not know the difference. You can swap out flowers for each season and event, or using the same flowers every year. Friends probably will not notice, but it will make it seem as though you are constantly updating your centerpiece, because that's the thing those kinds of people notice. Artificial flowers can easily become dusty. If so, they do not look luxurious. Also, this can be problematic for allergy sufferers and asthmatics. But why should you care about that? You have fake flowers in your bowl. Step 5. Fill a vase to make a centerpiece. Vases are easy to find, and they can be relatively inexpensive. To help jazz up an empty vase, you can fill it with some small items. This will add a touch of character to your decor without costing a ton of money. Some things you can fill it with include potpourri, shells, pieces of coral, marbles, buttons, sticks, wine corks, and other garbage that you find around your house. Step 6. Repaint frames. Nice picture frames can be expensive, but you can manage a high-quality look without paying a lot of money. Find inexpensive picture frames at a dollar store, craft store, or thrift store. Then spend lots of money on paint and paint the frames with a color or design that pleases you. Gold and silver paint are easy to find if you want a more distinguished shade and to look as gaudy as possible. You can add words that you like, such as sisters or friends forever. This will make it seem personalized. Painting designs on your frames gives them a unique look. You can paint stripes, dots, or other easy geometric shapes to make it look like your third grader did it. And that's how you make your home look like a cheap hotel. Or, in other words, how to fake expensive decor